So now that we've unwrapped the main portion of R2D2's head and all the little dials that he has above, now we're going to focus on this main visor area, which, as you can see, has a little bit of a different shape than it's not automatically unwrapped for us. So we're going to do that. The first thing we're going to do is in edit mode, we're going to right click to unselect this, do the selection, and then with your mouse over that element, you press L to just to select it. And then if you do Shift H, it'll hide the rest. And as you can see now, I have that element isolated. So the next part we're going to do is we're going to go into wireframe mode, deselect, and under edge mode, as you can see, I already have all of this selected, but I'll kind of show you again. If I hit Alt and click to the side, my borders right here, those open faces is the first natural place that I can think of to add seams. So if I do right click and mark seam, on yours it shouldn't show it, but on mine it doesn't show it, but on yours it should change the selection to another color to show you there's a seam there. So that's the first place to put the first initial seam. However, if I go into now take my mesh and I do unwrap on this, all these little corners that the mesh turns is going to be problematic, because that's going to cause distortions because it doesn't have the right cuts in or the right seams in the mesh to give me the right sort of unwrap. So how are we going to do that? We're going to go ahead and pick the corners of this selection. So this corner right here, Shift, click on this one as well, this one as well, this one as well, and finally this one as well. So as you can see, I have most of the places where it kind of does a 90-degree turn to another angle selected, and I'm going to right click all of those and hit mark seam. And then if I do L to select the whole thing, I'm going to go into my unwrap menu right here, select the whole thing on this screen, move it to the side, and then under UV I'm going to go to and do unwrap, or U is the shortcut for it if you like. So as you can see, it's changed the unwrap of it, but I have an issue here which is going to affect it, and that's going to be right here is overlapping UVs. Sometimes when it comes to overlapping UVs, it's okay. For example, if you're taking two elements that are exactly the same and you overlap them, so you map the same thing twice. But in this occasion, if I have this overlap, it's going to be problematic. So to kind of clear that, I'm going to go ahead and just select this one right here. That face, and then if I go to UV and I do split or Alt M and then selection, what that's going to do is going to divide that face, or it's going to detach that face from the rest of it on the UVs, and I'm going to take it here and move it to the side so it's kind of lined up nicely. So then if I go back to shade and review, as you can see now, I have good even unwrap throughout the whole. And if it's not attached to something like this, it's not very problematic, because of course, since it's turning the corner, if there's some sort of a seam there, it's unlikely that you're going to see it immediately, especially with such a small piece. So now that I've done that and I've unwrapped this, I want to be able to see the rest of my mesh, so I can scale this in relation to the rest of it. So I'm going to go ahead and do Alt H, and as you can see, I have a little bit of overlap because everything's selected, so I'm going to go unclick. So I have nothing selected, and then with that little visor piece that I just unwrapped, I'm going to click L, and then I'm going to select it all, and then I'm going to move this to the side. And then to see the rest of it, I'm going to go ahead and find the other pieces, hover over it with your mouse cursor, press L, and as you can see, every time I hover over a new piece and press L, it adds to the selection. And then if I go to this piece right here, it adds to the selection, and then the last one, press L again. As you can see, now I'm able to see everything that I have in the UV space. So in the UV space, I'm going to unclick, and then I'm going to click just on that visor element, and then I'm going to go ahead and take this and start to scale it. And then as you can see, once I've scaled it, I've kind of given it more or less the proportions of the rest of it. So it seems like for the most part, the proportions are pretty good. And then after I've done that, I'm going to take this piece right here, move it closer to this element so they're all kind of together. And you're probably gonna, these right here are a little bit too close on the UV space. So if you like, just take these and separate a little bit to the side. Select this whole one. So now there's a little bit of couple of pixel spacing between these. And the last one, cool. As you can see, now that I have everything kind of more together in one little package, I'm going to select it all. And then I'm going to move it to the side here, because when we get this mesh and combine it with the rest of the elements of the unwrap, it's good to have everything separated to the side so it doesn't get jumbled together and all the like elements are close together. So I'm going to take this right here and put it to the side. And then if I exit and go to object mode, as you can see, I have it unwrapped. And if I do Alt-H, we have the rest of our mesh. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and put a stop to this video, and then the next one we're going to start unwrapping the main body of R2D2.